Alright, in the last video we set up some kind of scaffolding for the compilation, and today we're gonna work a little bit on the tokenizer. So I think I'm gonna take this and put it into its own file. And here we go. And let's check that the whole thing still runs. It does not run. We need to write all and then it runs. And now let me copilot disable. Now let's make a kind of a struct to keep track of some things. And it's gonna have the source. So let's call it source, and it's gonna be just a string, I guess. And then we'll have a pointer to the current place we are in the string, and we can just make that an integer. And then we'll also have a line number, which is an integer again, and that's about it. Then let's have a function that's called maybe not make, but init. It doesn't do anything, but it returns a tokenizer. I wonder if strings are like pointers, but let's not worry about that right now. So we'll have a tokenizer, which is just a tokenizer, and we should probably supply the source. So then tokenizer source is string, and we don't need that. Tokenizer pointer is 0, and line number is gonna be 1. Then we return the tokenizer, and there we go. All right, so in here in tokenize, let's start by making a tokenizer, and then we're gonna say we'll have some kind of infinite loop over the source, and actually here we're gonna need to supply the source as well, and we will have something that scans for. And actually, to make things a little bit nicer, let's put the tokenizer here, so it's kind of like but then we need the source. Where do we get the source from? So actually what we're gonna do is we're gonna declare the tokenizer here, and then this guy will say will assign to that. So we should say like local tokenizer, something like that. Maybe we don't even do that. We just say, no, we do like this. So it's a tokenizer struct, like that. And then in here we can say init tokenizer. That is completely misspelled, like so. And that should work. Then we can say give me a token, which will just be scan token. And then this function doesn't need to refer to anything. It will return a token, and in here it can kind of like use this tokenizer. So it's some global state that's passed around, and probably we'd use a class in another language, but here we are. Then where do we have the token defined? Let's put that over here as well. So what's it gonna have? It's gonna have probably a lexeme. It's gonna have a token type, which is something, and let's say it also has a line number. And this token type, let's didn't mean to do that. let's go in here and see how it was. Okay, so let's say that token type is an enum, and we can use U8 as the backing thing. And for now, there's just going to be, let's say, a number. And then in here, we'll use the token type. Can I call it type, or will that interfere with something? I can just call it type. So it will need to keep track of both the thing that produced it, the type, and the line number. So let's and this is supposed to be the current line number, right? So maybe I want to initialize this as 0, and then we can say if token.line is not equal to tokenizer.line number. I'm just going to call it line because I don't want to write line number all the time. I just realized. Then let's print it somehow. Token line. Let's print like this. So we're going to print the token, then we're going to say tokenizer line is now that line. And then we're going to print for now just the lexeme. And we're going to say if we get to the end of the file, then we'll break. And we'll just keep this dummy code for now. Let's try to run it and see if it works. It does not work. And we need to first import core format, and it claims there is no, because we don't have this scan. We do have this scan token, but it's not returning anything. So let's make a token and return that. Just make it compile, and undeclared, right, there we go. Missing return statement at the end of init tokenizer because we don't need to return anything anymore, and it shouldn't be, should just be source. I'm a little bit tired, I guess. Redeclaration of token. Okay, so now it's compiling. We can't really run it on anything yet because we don't have this scan token. And you know, let's also say we will put like a little bit of a break in between statements. This will make more sense when we actually run it. So we're going to need a lot of token types, and I think I will just write them out. It's going to be the same as for our interpreter, basically. And here it is. Looks good. Looks very good. Anyway, I regret that. Okay, so we gotta scan the token. The way it normally works is that you have some kind of token, let's say like this, and we now have the pointer at this point. Then we see that there is a quote. So we know we have to move forward until we see another quote. But then when we're done, we need to take all of this, actually just 1, 2, 3, I guess, and put that into a token. And for that reason, it's convenient to know both where it starts and where it ends. So we're going to make a start, which is going to be a copy of what the current thing is pointing to. Then we are going to basically scan forward. But let's first say if we're at the end, we're going to return a new token, which is called end of file. And if we reach this point, and it hasn't been handled yet, because we're kind of assuming we're handle all not end of file tokens here. If we reach this point, we're gonna return an error token. So we know an error has happened. And this make token procedure will take a type and return a token. So if we do that, we actually need to also give the start so we can like extract the part of the string that's interesting. So maybe instead of that, we're gonna say that's in another field in this kind of like this guy. So start is gonna be also an integer, and then we don't need to pass it. Then we can just say the lexeme is gonna be the tokenizer source, starting from the tokenizer start to the tokenizer pointer. Then we need I'm actually gonna take this one and put it into a separate file, just because it's a bit annoying. We need the lexeme, the type, and the line. So this one is just given by whatever we passed in. This one is given by the tokenizer's current line. And then we return a token. Like that. And there is some kind of problem, which should be here. And we don't have the is at end yet. This is not a declaration anymore. Right, now we just need the is at end. So, is at end is a procedure, returns a boolean. And we're simply gonna say, actually this guy should be here, I think. First you check if you're at the end, and then you proceed. So anyway, this one should return tokenizer pointer equals the length of the source. Now we can actually run it. So let's just try to get it running to do something. Something. This will run compile. Compile is in here. It runs tokenize. And tokenize, that was not my intention. tokenize, scans a token, then it prints some stuff and returns a dummy token. So let's try to run it. And it just goes into an infinite loop because we never advance the pointer. So where are we going to do that? This one should, when we scan for the token, it should advance it. So I'm just gonna say tokenizer pointer plus equals 1. Yeah, so there is some kind of issue, which is that I don't know how formatting works. Maybe we need to put an S here. No, maybe we don't need to do anything. We just, since it's already a string. Yeah, that seems to work fine. Now, one problem is this thing. We want to go to a new line, so let's do it like that, I guess. And again, it didn't work because let's also set this one to -1. Just for fun. Then since we're doing this debug printing, let me just print a line here. All right. So now we can see here it's scanning through the tokens, quote unquote tokens, and printing them one by one. So let's try to make it scan the scan a number maybe. Yeah, let's do that. So there's gonna be some unbounded loop, and we're gonna make a kind of, yeah, so let's get the current char, which is whatever is currently pointed at. Then we're gonna say if actually, this is not gonna work in the long run, but let's just do this for now. So if the current char is let's do this. If it is numeric, then we're gonna say we're scanning a number. So we do want to advance the pointer by 1. This should not be there. Actually, I guess maybe we do like this. The current char is something. If it is numeric, then we want to start scanning ahead. So then we're going to say for is numeric current char. I think it's like this when you're doing a loop, a while loop. But then we need to store the number somewhere. So let's say number is going to be 0. It's actually going to be convert char to integer. Let's do that. Convert char. Then if the next one then we're gonna advance the pointer. Current char is gonna be reassigned. If it's still numeric, actually let's do something else. So if current char equals space, then we're gonna return a number token. Otherwise, if the current char, let's say if not is numeric, then we're going to return an error token, and otherwise we're just gonna increment. But actually we also want to say or what do we want to do? Because we can also reach the end of the file. So maybe we say if we're at the end, then we also just turn it into token. Okay, so now we just need this is numeric, and we need the C to I. So is numeric should take a character, maybe U8, and then return a boolean, and it should return the character being greater than or equal to 0 and nine. Character to an integer will be much the same. Except that it's like this. Right. So that's the current number. Okay, so down here we need to do something else. The current check character is a token. So let's say we do this. The current character is an integer, so we do like so. I think this will work. Will not work. Because this isn't an integer, but we can just cast it. Now it runs, so let's try to run it. If I type 1, 2, 3, I get 1, 2, 3. If I type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I should get 2 tokens. There's also a space. There's actually too many spaces for my liking. This one we can remove. Why doesn't it print the line as well? Bit unnerving. I get it. So So here we assign to the I'm not sure how to handle that tokenizer line. Basically, this is never going to happen. So let's say current line is -1. That should do it. And it doesn't format correctly. Because I guess I have to do maybe printf. Okay. There is kind of a weird thing happening, which is that this one I don't want, I think. Okay. So in line 66. So let's do print line. And char is $49, which I think is 1. And then it says current character is 51. We managed to scan a token, but somehow it's also skipping one. And why is it doing that? Maybe we don't do this one, that's wrong. We only need this. So the character from the previous iteration, no, the current character is numeric. Ah, wait, so I'm doing something silly here. So actually we need to loop here. No, it's an if. If it's an if, then we initialize this. And then this is going to be the next, and then here it's, we say as long as it's numeric, then we're going to do this thing. Let's do it like this. The current character is numeric, so we add it to the number, the accumulated number. Then we advance it one. Check if it's numeric. If it's not numeric, we go here and we see if it's like space or something, it's okay. Let's try that. So that also failed. And I put this here. Should say it loops, it indeed loops. Then it's failing in line 75, which is here. Okay. So because it's seeing the 3 and then it's trying to go to the end of the... So we have to have this check in here, actually. It's a little bit funky, but it works, I guess. So now it works. Let's remove the debug printing. And this one is also not necessary. Right. Oops, that's not what I meant. I meant token line here. So for some reason there's a space. What if I move this one up here? Then it's much more reasonable. There's still an annoying space, so let me do this. It's going to be a printf. Now it works. Okay, so now we basically have the start of the scanner, which you can see is a little bit annoying. So what are we going to say here? So while it's numeric, what happens if it's not numeric? So basically here we'll return an error. Let's try to see what. So this works, this doesn't work. So basically, let's say if this is the case, then we're gonna skip ahead. It's gonna be the current char is then tokenizer source, tokenizer pointer. So for some reason there's an extra token emitted, which I just don't get. How about maybe it's because it's an error token and I just don't get it. So let's say if token type is an error, okay, it's definitely an error. And what we can do is print the token Lexine. Let's put it in quotes. So the space is an error. That's good. So what do I want to do? I think I just want to skip white space. So that means if we end up at the end of file, we're going to do that. And what's going to happen here, we will go in and we'll see immediately we're at the end of the file. I think that should work. Actually, it's not working because we never see this end of file token. So that's an issue. Because we just break here and I want to print it as well. So I actually do want that down there. And it's okay. What we're gonna do is we're gonna print it a different way. So in this case, no, that was correct, but up here, I'm just gonna write end of file. So now we see we actually do get the end of file. If we print 2, we get an error token. So I actually want to put that as an if down here. And move that one. So still, right, that one I don't need anymore. Okay, now it looks nice. It does say there's an error token because we don't really handle this correctly. So maybe we put this up here. First we advance the pointer past any white space, which we're not interested in. And then okay, this I think makes sense. Once we're past any white space, then we say now we start. And it did not work. This one also, so there's something wrong. Okay, the current character is white space. We advance it by 1. Then we see a number. So then we skip out of the for loop. Then we say the start. Is that a number? Sure, it's not an end, it's a number. Then we go to the next one. We keep going and then maybe there's a problem here. Okay, so now we add 1. This is 2. go through 3, 3, then 4 should go in here and return the number, but that doesn't happen. Where is it trying to access? 59. So already here, which means that this has to be at the very beginning. So now it's working correctly. That was tricky. That was very tricky. It's because that even though when we're scanning for the number, we know that we reached the end of a file, this function doesn't know. It only knows when it receives an end of file token. And because we limit ourselves to returning 1 token, we cannot tell it to keep going, to stop already. And that's why we have to check here, because when we're finished, we will be pointing to beyond the end of the array. Okay. Anyways, I think that's it for this time, and I will see you in the next one.